How many of you have ever done a DIY project? Now, what, in your opinion, is the most difficult part? Man, is it the cost? Is it the time? Is it the research you're going to have to do? Is it the effort? Or is it the details? See, many people can do a lot of DIY projects and they look really good with the right camera and with the right angle and from the right distance. But the challenge and the difference between the novice and the pro, man, it's all in the details. Man, because see, the details, they make all of the difference. And maybe you've done a simple project like changing out your toilet or a sink and you're saying, Noah, how is it that difficult? Well, you know what? You're right. That project is simple enough that it might feel like there were no details that you even had to think about. But let me bring you into the world of the Gibson household. Now, my wife has graciously lived, cooked, and cleaned out of this kitchen. And for a year and counting, she has done this. And I think it's finally time. And so I'm starting to plan for what a kitchen renovation will look like and what changes we will make. And most importantly, how much is it going to cost? Now, generally speaking, we can look at the kitchen and we'll just say, man, it needs new counters, cabinets, flooring, and backsplash. Slap some paint on that walls and bingo, you're done. Well, can I just tell you, it's not as simple as that. First, we want to widen the entrance very significantly so it feels more open. We also might move a doorway and close the current one to be able to create more cabinet space. I also want to make the cabinets myself and allow them to have a very custom fit. We want to put a really fancy fridge in there that looks like it's in a cabinet. And I almost forgot to mention that as we widen those walls, we're going to have to consider electrical and heating vents. And I also have to make sure that the cabinet height is correct so that when the countertops are installed, they lie flush with the stove. And then I have to make sure the cabinets will fit in the current space. And I need to make sure all of my measurements are correct because I need to have the cabinets made and installed in the kitchen before I can have people come to measure for countertops. And before that, I need to drywall damaged areas and create a new threshold and doorway after we widen it. And there are probably about 15 other things I could mention, but I'm going to stop there. Now you can see how what felt like a simple project can so easily become massively complex and confusing. And having to figure out what you should do first and make sure you have brought all of the supplies for your project are all things that are very easy to mess up. And as you can see, why I say it is all in the details. But these details have a purpose. They lead to the reveal. They lead to the finished product. And today, man, we're going to be talking about the disciplines in life that we need to have in order to complete the work that has been started. See, the worst thing that can happen is when you're working on a project and you just get stuck. And so the whole project, man, it's just in limbo until you can find a solution or wait for a pro to fix it. And now I think too often in life we understand our basics, we find the problems, and man, we even start working on the details. But what is the end goal? What are you wanting to accomplish based on the work you have been doing? And more importantly, are you proud of the work you have done? Or are you making sure nobody gets close enough to realize there are a lot of problems with what is supposed to look new? And today we're going to talk about 3 things God's discipline teaches us in hopes of understanding how we can grow and how we can mature as believers. Our text today is in Hebrews chapter 12, and we're going to be starting in verse 4. Here's what it says. In your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood. And have you completely forgotten this word of encouragement that addresses you as a father addresses his son? It says, my son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline, and do not lose heart when he rebukes you, because the Lord disciplines the one he loves, and he chastens everyone he accepts as his son. Endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as his children, for what children are not disciplined by their father? If you are not disciplined, and everyone undergoes discipline, then you are not legitimate, not true sons and daughters at all. Wow, I just got to say first, this comes off a little harsh. Man, but I think if we understand what it's saying, it actually can feel very comforting. I want us to focus on the start of verse 6 as it says, the Lord disciplines the one he loves. Now, when I first heard that, I just went, what? Like, you're telling me that discipline means he loves us? And how is that possible? But then I started thinking about it, and I started thinking about Finley, my daughter. And if I'm to be a parent who cares about her, who wants what's best for her life, now and later, then I must be willing to tell her no, to teach her right from wrong, to show her things like that pulling her mom's hair is not okay. And also that throwing heavy toys at other people, while it may be funny, is not the best way to make friends. See, Finley knows I am her parent because I am the one who disciplines her. Her grandparents, they only know one word, and that is yes. See, it's not their responsibility. Man, it's not my neighbor's responsibility. It's not my friend's responsibility. It is mine and Caroline's job to discipline and teach Finley the good from the bad. And this act of discipline is how she knows we are her parents and how others know that she is our child. And so this leads us to our first point. God's discipline shows us we are his. And so I just want to say, if your life is challenging, praise God, because it means you are his child and he is working in you to refine you towards the purposes you were made for. See, the disciplines and difficulties in your life only reveal that God is doing a work in you and through you. But let's continue to read, starting in verse 9. Moreover, we have all had human fathers who disciplined us, and we respected them for it. How much more should we submit to the Father of spirits and live? See, they disciplined us for a little while as they thought best. But God disciplines us for our good, in order that we may share in his holiness. This leads us to our second point. God's discipline should be respected. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, the verse, it says it for us. It says that your human father, your human mother, they tried to discipline you. They did what they thought was best, what they thought was good, what they thought would work. But notice the difference when we read about God in that verse, that it says he disciplines us for our good. There's no question the discipline we face will be used for our good. No matter how horrific, no matter how life-altering, he uses it for our good. We must realize that God's discipline is perfect. It is not questionable because he is God. He knows us better than we know ourselves. And this is the amazing thing. God can even use what Satan intended for evil in our life for good. God in his discipline is not some human discipline, not some temporary thing. It is perfect, and it is worthy of our respect. And many people ask the question, how do I know I am saved? Well, let me ask you, after coming to faith, after accepting Jesus in your life, has life gotten more difficult? Has hardships, struggles, and challenges come your way? Have you been challenged with what to say, what to do, how to act? Let me just tell you, it's because your God, your Father, uses all of this for your good. Because he is doing a work inside of you. He can take what Satan intended for evil and make it for your good. His discipline should be respected. Let's continue to read on in verse 11. It says, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Now, this leads us to our third point. God's discipline has a reason. Now, what do I mean? I think the verse explains it so well. No discipline is fun at the time. But the result, if you hold on to the discipline, is worth it all. We may not always understand why we're going through difficult times, why our life feels like a mess, and why we can't accomplish the things we want to. We may not understand. But what we must understand, and what we must hold our hope and faith in, is that God has a reason, that God knows that he can turn what Satan intended for evil and turn it for good. That he can take the hardship and turn it into a new life, into growth, into maturity. Nobody likes the discipline, but what it produces, if you stick with it, is worth it. Friends, nobody likes a discipline. It's tough, it's challenging, and it'll take you to your lowest of lows, but what it produces is worth it. Now, we've gone through this series and discussed tearing things down to the bare bones, to the basics, to make certain we are starting on the correct foundation. And from there, we went to make sure we discover the problems and the things getting in the way of a closer relationship with Christ. And then we discussed the habits, the things we must do daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly to keep God at the focus. And today we are discussing the details, the final touches that we must accomplish to have a finished product. And all of this leads me to think about the finish line, the final reveal, the harvest, and what all the work we put in was for. It reminds me of actually the start of this chapter, Hebrews chapter 12, starting in verses 1 to 3. It says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything, not just some things, everything that hinders, and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart." Man, I just want to talk to you right now. I want you to understand that verse. See, we go through so much in life. And I'm so grateful. God has provided me a life in which I haven't gone through some of the hardship that I know people listening right now have gone through. But what I do know, what I do confidently can say to you, is that God is with you. He is for you. And he is doing things to help you. And I know it doesn't feel like that sometimes. I know there's things that you just go, there is no way God is using this for good. And yet he is God, and so he can use everything for good. He can take the most difficult thing in your life and allow it to change you and affect you. God has given you, he has offered you the greatest inheritance you could ever receive in your entire life. And when we think about inheriting something, most times we instantly go to, man, if someone could just give me and leave me a bunch of money so that I would inherit all of this money. But I want to ask you, what do you think is the most important, what do you think is the most valuable thing you could inherit from somebody else? I don't think that it's possessions. I don't think that it's money. I don't think it's the things they leave you physically. I think it's the things they left you with that shaped who you are today. Now, I personally loved my grandpa. I grew up just so admiring the man he was, because he continued to live his life towards God, not towards what the world said. He never was ashamed of his God. And the beautiful thing that I always remember is that when we stood there at his funeral, every single grandkid made it to that funeral. Every single person was there. And there's a reason. Because the things that he had left, no money, no valuable items, no awesome car, no amazing house, but how he had impacted us. The way in which he loved us stuck with us. And so I want to tell you right now, God, Jesus, have left you with the greatest inheritance, and it's yours to take. It is yours to have. That inheritance is eternity in heaven. There is nothing better that you could receive today than an eternity in heaven with God. So if you want that, you can have that. But you have to make that decision. You have to receive that inheritance. And so I'm asking you today, as you look through, as we've gone through this series, and we've talked about the basics, man, we talked about the problems, we talked about the solution to the problems, we talked about the habits we should form, and today we're talking about how do you get to that end product? Well, the end product is when we are in heaven with God. That is the reveal. That is the final accomplishment. And so everything we're doing here on earth is to focus on getting closer to God as we wait in anticipation to get to be with him in heaven. And so you can receive this inheritance. You can accept this. And it's not complicated. You can say something as just similar to this or very close to this and just saying, God, will you forgive me for the sins I've committed? I've been following my ways and not your ways. God, I want to follow your ways. I acknowledge you are the God of the universe, that you are in control. And so, God, I want to follow you. I want to give my life to you, and I want to start listening to you. You could say something like that today, and I just ask if you want to pray that prayer today. We've got people in the chat who would love to talk with you about that. We would love to talk more about what it means to know and follow God. But that inheritance is waiting for you. It's being asked, it's saying, hey, take it. It's the greatest thing you could ever take. And so I pray and I hope that you will accept that inheritance. Now, what I want everyone listening right now to remember is there's a lot of things we're doing in life, and sometimes we don't understand even why we're doing them. This is the amazing thing about a faith in Jesus Christ is we know what the finish line looks like. And so my final thing, what I want you guys to hear is never forget, don't lose sight of the finish line. God's telling us to run this race with endurance. He's telling us to continue to keep our eyes focused on Jesus. And so don't lose sight of the finish line. Don't forget that at the end of all of this tired work, all of the end of this exhaustive, tiring things that you go through in your life, that there is a finish line, that God has accomplished what he said he would. And he's providing a way for you to be in eternity in heaven with him. And so we have a finish line. Don't lose sight of it. Don't lose sight of the finish line. Man, would you guys pray with me today? God, I just want to thank you for who you are. I want to thank you for what you've done on the cross for us. Lord, I pray right now for the people who could hear this message, now, who could hear this message years from now, God. Lord, the people listening, God, that you would just shout in their heart right now. That you would tell them and remind them that you are the Lord of the universe. That there is no one else. God, would you allow us to humble ourselves, to get rid of the things in the way, and to follow you. God, for some it might be hurt that they've faced in a church. For some it might be relationships they've had. For some it might be that they believe that your stuff, that you don't make sense. God, whatever it is, would you just tear those disbeliefs and those obstructions down and allow these people to humbly come to you. God, you never said the Christian faith was easy, but you did say it was worth it. So would we continue to focus on you because we know it's worth it, because we have the finish line. We focus on you, God, as we continue to work on ourselves, to grow closer and to draw closer to you. In your wonderful and powerful name, amen.
Hey there! Thank you so much for watching and checking us out. Hey, I want you to know we go live every Sunday, 9, 10:15, and 11:30. So I would love for you to like and subscribe to make sure that we can stay connected together all the time. I'll see you next time.